starting, not particularly standing in any set structural position, and I just want you to think about fingers and toes. And we're just going, I'm just going to sort of walk around a little bit. You can walk around in your space. And I want you to really try and, let's focus on the fingers a little bit first. Really try and stretch the fingers apart, twiddle them round, circle at the wrists, and at the same time, have a little walk through your feet. So rising up onto the ball of the feet, curling the toes over, maybe rolling the ankle around, swapping sides. Change the position of your arms maybe, so straighten the arms. Maybe stand on one leg and twiddle the other foot at the ankle. So focus on wrists and ankles and fingers and toes, and try not to get everything else involved at the moment. Sorry, at this moment in time. I'm going to take a few little weird walks forwards. I'm going to take my arms up to the ceiling and stretch up. Just feels slightly different when the hands are above the head. So I definitely can't see you. So you're going to have to rely on just me giving me some inspiration, but actually think about just what you might quite like to do for yourself. And also, it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be anything conventional. Just maybe try and put your arms and legs in a completely different position as to how you would be normally, and just go for it. Okay, and let's move on. Just pull my leggings up a little bit. Let's move on to the shoulders. So same sort of thing. Maybe take a shoulder roll backwards and forwards, and then going in the other direction. So lifting one up, one down, taking them both forwards, pinning them both backwards, seeing what it feels like when you join in with your arms. So when you add that extra lever of your arms, you're going to get a bit more stretching and movement. Stretch the arms across, stretch them out and wide, round the back forwards, and then lift up to the ceiling, maybe pitch back a little bit. Whatever you do, keep moving, try and keep moving. Let's go for a shoulder roll and a little step to the side. The weird thing about this is when I've put the class up on YouTube, it's live at the moment obviously, but YouTube selects 3 little camera shots of my class at some point during the class. Usually it's in the first few minutes. So I dread to think what today's camera shot is going to be like, and that'll be the little title for the video in the future. But anyway, that's nothing too much to worry about. So hopefully getting everything moving. Let's maybe take some elbow circles. So this is all the stuff I normally do. I just don't want you to be I don't want you to be fixed in one position today. I want you to move around, and hopefully you're getting quite nice and warm. Actually, this one we did earlier. So give yourself a little bit of a hug, cross those elbows over, and just gently turn your upper body from side to side. Maybe round forwards, maybe lift the elbows up. Maybe take a little swoop. So we're focusing on shoulders and rib cage at the moment. Maybe a sort of figure of 8. So I think I'll call this the straight jacket wiggle. Great, okay, brilliant. Hips, feet nice and wide, and hips circling all the way forwards. So the idea is for today's class is that we're getting into those corners, like I said. We're getting to the areas, we're getting blood flow and all the sort of healing juices, keeping everything mobile, active, alive. And someone was describing it earlier on YouTube. I was looking at some stuff. Keeping it moist. So keeping all your connective tissue moist as opposed to dry. That's what we want. We want to lubricate everything. So changing direction if you haven't already, all the way round. Noticing as you do this, what's going on in your rib cage, what's going on in your knees, your ankles. your feet maybe. Changing direction. Let's try a figure of 8 with those hips. So you're going to take one hip forwards and then the other hip. So you circle around and circle around, circle around and circle around. Relatively easy for me in this direction. Now I'm going to try and change direction. Have I changed direction? I'm not sure. I think I have, yeah. So the focus now, I'm just going in the opposite direction actually. So still circling the hip around. No, I think that's my default. Going round the other way. Yeah, that's the other direction. If it feels quite comfortable, you're probably going back to the first way. Good, okay. Feet and knees together. Hands on your knees so that you basically keep your knees at the same height. Now circle them all the way around. Have a look down at those feet and your ankles and see what's happening. So yes, we're focusing on circling the knees around, but there's loads of lovely movement going on in your feet and your ankles, your shins. I was reading again something earlier where they were saying about, you know, muscles and tendons and everything. It's not, nothing is meant to go in one direction. We're not linear. Everything should be able to twist and go at a jaunty angle and shorten and stretch, and so it goes in all different directions, and that's what we're trying to do with this class. Make sure you did those last ones with both directions. Let's take the feet nice and wide. Let's think about the big muscles in the sides of the body. So just lifting one arm up and stretching over to the side and changing sides. So I call this flowing side bends. The arms are flowing. Up nice and tall in the centre, breath in, and then over to the side, breath out. Try and when you reach your arms out to the side, when you hit this position but you're not staying there for very long, reach to the opposite sides of your room. Reach the top arm up to where the ceiling and the wall meet. Reach the underneath arm to where the floor and the wall meet. Try and touch the biggest bubble. Imagine you're in a big bubble, you're touching the edges all the way through with those fingertips. Great, let's lean over to one side, bend the knees, relax all the way down, swap the arms over, come up the other side. One arm over to one side, relax the head and the shoulders coming up the other side. Absolutely no holding your breath. If things don't feel right, if it just feels a bit too big for you at the moment, keep it a little bit smaller. Bend your knees, place your hands on your legs. But don't be scared of it. I really shouldn't have put my heels into my leggings. I'm going to take those out. Okay, good. Couple more of those. Sweeping all the way around. Really try and relax. Make sure you're breathing all the way through class today, as in be conscious that you're not holding your breath with anything. Hopefully everything should be feeling quite nice. Great. We're going to take a chest and back lift. I'm going to go sideways to start with. So chest and back lift, coming through your sumo wrestler position, all the way down to the floor. Hands are touching your feet. Cross your hands over. And as you come up, you're going to slide your hands along the side seam of your leggings, all the way up the side seam of your top, until you get upright, and then it's like you're taking a jumper off. Try and keep that quite tight there. Open up those shoulders, lift the head and go again, all the way down. So keep moving. So lifting the head, stick the bottom out. Hands are on the legs, slide down your shins, relax your head. Cross the arms over. Watch that those knees don't come rolling in. If anything, push them out. Rolling all the way up to the top. Look up to the ceiling, arch, and go again. So we're not specifically trying to stretch anything. We're just going for this movement, this flowing movement. Unraveling. Mobilising that spine. One or two more. Relax the head down. When you cross your arms over, try and have a different arm on top each time. tucking that pelvis under as you come all the way up to the top. Brilliant. Let's do another one to get down, to come down to the floor, hands to the floor touching your feet, legs are bent, let your head hang. Just gently straighten your legs and soften your knees. And don't even try and hold this. Yes, we're stretching the backs of the legs, but if you're here, that's absolutely fine. I just want you to get the movement going. I want you to be quite relaxed with it. And then my feet are shoulder width apart, slightly wider than shoulder width apart. And I'm going to bend one knee and then bend the other knee, straightening one leg, bending the other knee. So hopefully you can see, if you look, my hips are tilting. And I'm making this quite big today because I want it to be flowing. I don't want you to feel like you're doing any static stretching. And then keeping one leg straight and the other leg bent. Watch if you haven't done this one before. Lift the elbow up to the ceiling, extend the arm up to the ceiling, and then sweep the arm round by your side before you swap sides. So other leg bent, other leg straight. The straight leg side, you lift the elbow up, you extend the arm. So we're getting that nice rotation in the spine and the shoulders. Swap sides, elbow, extend and sweep back down to the floor. Change. So the straight leg side is the side that you lift the elbow up. Do an equal amount of those both sides. And then just change it slightly to make it a little bit more dynamic. Extend the arm out to the side, up to the top, and then bring it back down. All the way out to the side, up to the ceiling. Same thing, we're not leading with the elbow this time, we're rotating a little bit more. 4 or 6 of those, bend those knees, roll up in the centre. Beautiful. So I feel like we've mobilised and got everything quite warm. Let's take a nice big dynamic movement of some backward lunges. And as you do this, you're going to come into like a shoelace, like you're doing up your shoelace position. So just watch a moment. I'm on lengthways on my yoga mat. I'm going to step one leg back, but my focus as I step back is to do my shoelaces. So I've got my hands to my foot, the top of my foot. My chest is over my thigh. The back knee is almost touching the floor, so that's my perfect squat position. I'm going to release both arms, bring them both up to the ceiling as I lift my chest up, and then step forwards. As I step forwards and bring my feet together, the arms are going to come down by my side. Just watch me one more time as I change legs. So stepping back, it's shoelace time. That's the most important part. I've gone quite rounded there, which I don't really want. I wasn't thinking so much there. I'd like you to be quite in a neutral, if you can, in your back. Release the arms, lift the chest. So now we're in a perfect neutral. You might be here, you might be hovering that back knee, which is quite strong in the legs. You might be up a little bit high. That's absolutely fine. Either one works, and then step forwards and bring the arms down. Let's do a few more of those. Stepping back, hinge, come down to your, it's quite difficult on the balance as you can see, come down to that foot, sweep the arms forwards and up, maybe drop down a little bit more if you can. If knees won't allow, that's absolutely fine. Your focus here is hinge at the hips, get those hands to that front foot, or the shin if that's not available to you, you can't go there, release the arms, bring that chest nice and upright. So dynamically we're getting a really nice stretch at the front of the hips. Well, you might not think it's really nice. Hands to the top of the foot to do your shoelaces, reaching the arms up and lift up, stepping back. Think about your position all the way through. Try not to get stuck. Think about your breathing. Let's do 4 more of these. A little bit tough maybe, so hands down and lifting up and coming up. See if you can bring all that weight forwards onto that front leg. So from your upright position, Come up on one leg is what I'm trying to say there. 2 more if you can. Stepping back, attend to your shoelaces, think about the angle at the back of the neck, lift your chest, then stand up. Can you just come up mainly on the one leg? Step back, hinge at the hip, really important. Lift the chest with the arms and stepping up. Wonderful. We're going to do 4 more of these. We're just going to add a little bit of rotation. I'm going to bring my mat over slightly. Take the leg that's furthest away from the camera back this time. So stepping back, down you go, onto those shoelaces. Lift your chest up, lift the arms up, stay there. Turn towards that front knee. Doesn't matter if you're facing the other way, but just turn towards the front knee. Palms are down, arms are parallel to the floor. Great, lift your arms up again, face forward, step up, and we're swapping legs. 3 more of those. Taking the leg back, down to your shoelaces, hinge at the hips, lift your arms up, lift your chest. Turn your arms, bring your arms down, turn your shoulders and your whole upper body towards that front knee. Palms are down, arms are parallel to the floor, come back square to the front and step up. Quite hard work on the legs now. 2 more if you can. The back leg if you can. So hinge at the hips into those shoelaces. Lift up nice and upright. Now keep moving. You know what this is. It's strong, but keep flowing, keep moving, lifting up. Last one. Here we go. Stepping back. Lift those arms and the chest. Turn towards that front knee. Hips and legs stay square. Back to your front. And lifting up. And give the legs a bit of a shake. Perfect. Okay, into our dance stretches. I haven't done these for a long time. Or into my dance stretches, I should say. So the legs are nice and wide. Wider than shoulder width. Really parallel. Taking one arm up to the ceiling. Imagine you're mirroring me. So just take the opposite arm up. So I've lifted up my left, you're probably going to lift up your right. Turn your shoulders only and your upper body towards the corner. Lengthen forwards. You're going to feel a strong stretch at the back of your left leg if you're doing the opposite side to me. And then I want you to relax your upper body down. Take hold of that leg, that left leg at the ankle. Try and get your head on your knee. Don't worry if you can't. So we've still got a strong stretch at the back of that leg. Bend your other knee. Bend your right knee. Notice the change in the stretch. And if you don't really feel a change in the stretch in the legs, probably legs need to be a little bit further apart. Lift the other arm up to the ceiling. There's that lovely rotation again. And relax by bending both knees in the centre. Bring your body in the centre. Relax your head and your arms. And then roll up through the spine to do that all on the other side. Here we go. Other arm up. Turn the shoulders only. Keep the hips square to the front. Reach towards the corner. Your spine is in its natural curves. Now relax that upper body down. Upper back down. Upper body, upper back. Hold on to the lower leg. Your right leg this time. If you're doing the same as me. Head towards that knee. Bend your other knee. Feel the stretch change to your inside thigh of the straight leg and across your back, and then take the right arm up to the ceiling. Don't worry if it's the other side, just make sure you're opposite to that straight leg, rotating around, bend both knees, relax in the middle, roll up through the spine, pull your leggings up if you need to. Note to self, don't wear these when you're doing this sort of class. Let's do that one more time each side. We're going to take a breath in and a breath out for each movement. So here's the first one. You're breathing in, you're finding the position. When you get there, continue to breathe in, and then when you've breathed in fully, breathe out in the position. So your breath now has become the extra movement. It's becoming the flow part of it. Relax down that leg, breathing in and breathing out. When you breathe out, deepen the stretch a little bit more. Bend the opposite knee. And breathing in and breathing out. Taking your left arm up to the ceiling if you're working the same way as me. You should be opposite that straight leg, getting a nice rotation in the shoulders. Relax in the middle and then roll up through the spine, lifting the other arm up, turning the shoulders, lengthening forwards. Breath in, breath out. So I'm not doing my breathing very well because I'm doing way too much talking, but really try and work at your own pace. Don't take too much notice of what I'm doing. Try and imagine that your breath cycle is continuing your movement. Bend the opposite knee to that straight leg, lifting the arm up to the ceiling. Rotate those shoulders, relax. Push the knee out towards your little toes on that bent leg. Don't let it collapse in. Relax down. Roll up through the spine. Brilliant. And then from here we're going to come down to the floor. We're going to come back to this position and take some stretches, more stretches on the mat, but the rest of the class is going to be on the floor. So I'm going to lower my monitor. Let's just hinge forwards from the hips. We've pretty much done that one already. But then bend the knees, relax your upper back down, walk your fingertips forwards. Hold it there, the weight is over the feet, and just take a slight movement from side to side, trying to lengthen out through the crown of the head and then in the opposite direction through your sacrum. No weight into those hands, but you're stretching them forwards as far as they'll go. And then itsy bitsy spider them back so they're underneath your shoulders. Turn your toes out to the corners of your yoga mat if you have one. Feet are really quite wide now. And then I'm just transferring the weight from side to side. Knees going over the toes. Perfect. Let's turn all the way round to one side. So making sure that this front knee is above your ankle, above or slightly behind that ankle. Take the opposite hand, next to that front foot, underneath your shoulder, and then you're going to lift the arm up again, rotating away from the camera probably. So lifting up, trying to touch the ceiling. This time see if you can open out a tiny bit more. And then bring that arm down, drop the back knee down, take your elbows down towards the floor, and if you can, try and circle the hips here. So there's a lot of things going on that might be too difficult for you, and you might, if you can't get both elbows down equally, then just bend both arms equally. So I want your collarbone to be level, parallel to the floor, not like this, not completely twisted with one elbow down. Move around. You might want to stretch back. The name of the class is flow. Keep flowing, keep moving. Sometimes the movements will be bigger than others, but just stick with it if you can. Curl those toes under, straighten that back leg. Let's drop that back heel down so the hip opens up, lift your chest, sweep that forwards arm up to the ceiling. Don't overthink it. Lower back down again, square everything up, and then let's turn around to the other side. So a quick warrior pose there. So we're in our nice wide position on the other side. Hand is opposite that front foot, underneath the shoulder. Lift up out of the floor. As you reach up, turn away from the camera. So imagine you've got a straight line from the top hand through your arm, through your shoulders to the hand that's on the mat. Now open up the top of that straight line. Go a little bit beyond your 180. Then bring the hand down, drop the back knee down. Try and see if you can get both elbows down. You might not be able to, but just bend the arms. Circle the hips, move around. So we're never staying stuck in one particular position. You're trying to just work through the areas that are particularly tight for you, and we've all got slightly different areas, but we've all got them somewhere, so don't worry about that. Straighten out the back leg, just do the best you can. Put that heel down which opens up this hip. So that heel, that foot is now in along the short line of my mat, and then I'm lifting the chest and lifting the arm, reaching up towards the ceiling, moving all the way through, not getting stressed about that. It would be quite easy to. Straightening up that back leg and the hips, and then coming down onto all fours. Good job. Okay, we are going to take some Garuda press-ups with a diamond star. I'm going to face this way, I think. So I'm just going to go on a slight angle with my mat. And actually, I think I'm going to take this off because it's annoying me the way it's hanging down so much. Okay, so from your all fours square box position, but then bring your knees, feet and knees together. So knees are underneath your hips, but you just brought them together. Hands are underneath your shoulders, maybe slightly closer together than normal. Spread the fingers and the thumbs far apart. Here's the first movement. We're going to tuck the pelvis under, really round out that lower back. Lift, focus on tucking the pelvis under as much as you can, really scoop that tummy in. Stay in that position and go halfway back towards your heels with your hips. So you're getting a really lovely stretch across your back. Stay really rounded, come forwards, and when your shoulders are sort of over your hips, start to release your pelvis, and then your head is the last thing that comes back into line. And then at that point, you're also taking your shoulders slightly forwards of your fingertips, and then you're going to tuck your elbows in and straighten the arms. So let's add some breathing to this. So breath in maybe as you tuck under, but definitely a breath out as you reach back. Don't collapse back, keep that back rounded. Breath in as you unravel, that head is the last thing. Breath out, tucking the elbows in. Try and make contact, elbows to your ribs. You don't have to go as low as I'm going, but do take that weight forward. So stretching back, breath out. Stay rounded, coming forwards. Unravel the spine just as the head lifts. Down you go for the press up. 2 more. Tuck the pelvis under, really stretch back. Feel that stretch going right through to your fingertips. Stay rounded, unravel, tuck those elbows in, and come up. So my nose is touching the floor. My nose is quite big. You don't have to go that far, but notice that I'm not reaching my head forwards. I'm just changing the angle of my arms essentially. Okay, just watch this next one. We're going to add on to this. So we're going to do that same movement again. Then you're going to take your feet away from the camera for the first time, but just watch me first. Tuck the pelvis under. We're stretching back. It's a really nice stretch across that upper back. And then you're coming up and over, and you're going to put all of your shoulder over that back hand. And as you do that, the knee will release, the other hand will release. Now you're going to stack your shoulders and your hips and reach that arm up to the ceiling. Holding everything here, you stretch towards the camera on this first side. And I'm actually trying to reach the floor without having moved my shoulder. Then I'm going to let the shoulder, the ribs, the waist, the hips, that leg comes back down so that I get my hand back down to the floor, sort of rotating section by section. Stay with the feet at that same angle, stretching back, and come into the middle to go again. So I'm going to do an extra one on this side with you. So we're going to do 4 all together. Here we go. So tuck the pelvis under, stretch the hips back. So this is our straight one. Unravel through the spine, tuck under and in for that press up. Straighten the arms. Take your feet away from the camera. Tuck under, stretching back, nice breath out. And then come up and over, really lean over that back hand. Get your shoulder above the hand, then lift the other shoulder up as you take your arm up so that the hand through the shoulders is that wonderful straight line. You maybe could go a little bit further back. Now reach towards the screen, get that lovely stretch around your shoulder blades in your back. And then allow the shoulders, ribs, waist, hips, knees come down together, but you're still in that diagonal line, stretch back. And bring the feet into the centre. Push the shins into the floor. One more in the middle. We've got 3 more sets to go. Unravel. Tuck those elbows in. Breath in. Take your feet towards the camera this time. Tuck that pelvis under, round the back. Push into the shell of your back. Come all the way over and onto the other arm. The arm that's closest to the camera. Lift the knee. Sweep the arm across your chest. Lift up. Try and lift up out of the floor. Push those hips forwards. Now reach away. Try and touch the floor, but keep the shoulder where it is until you can't go any further. Then let it gradually unravel. Keep the feet where they are. Stay tucked under, stretch back. Breath out. And feet in the middle, breath in to go again. Push the shins into the floor. Round the back, breath out. Stay rounded, unravel. Breath out as you lower for that press up, straighten the arms. Take the feet away from the camera again, tuck under. Round the back. Coming over that back hand, look at your hand, get the shoulder above it, lift the knee, lift the chest, lift the arm, look up to the ceiling. Maybe this time, open back a little bit more with no collapsing on that underneath shoulder. Now reach, unravel everything. Stay the feet, keep the feet where they are. Stretch back one last time. Feet in the middle, here we go, last one. Push the shins in, round the back. Unravel. See if every single time you do this movement, you can find a new stretch. Take your feet towards the camera, or a new corner that you haven't quite managed to get to just yet. Tucking under, hips are back. Now reach, look down at that hand, get the shoulder really over the hand. And then that knee will release, automatically lift the arm up to the ceiling. Lift up out of the floor. Open up the shoulder. All the way back. Now reach all the way forwards. Keep that top shoulder. Hold it back for a moment and then let it unravel. Keep those feet where they are. Tuck that pelvis under. Stretching back. And round. Come into the centre. And good job. Just down onto your elbows. How are we doing for time? In fact, while we're here, let's just open up. Let's keep the feet together, toes together. Open up the knees. And you can either be on your elbows or stretch your arms forwards and just take a sway from side to side. So taking your ear towards the inside of your arm. I had this at the end, but it actually feels quite appropriate to do it now. So if your hips don't go all the way back onto your heels, or you need to be on your elbows for a bit more support here, absolutely fine. Same thing. We're trying to push the chest down, we're trying to stretch along the side seam of your back, but also I want you to move your hips and your shins and your knees and your ankles. Roll across a bit from side to side. Let's just thread the needle through. Rest your head down if you can, and then see if you can roll over and under that shoulder that's on the floor. Your head might not go to the floor, it's absolutely fine. Go away from the camera, stretch, roll across your shoulder. Just do what you can, and if any of this is uncomfortable, stay there and breathe. Just move as much as you can. Okay, great. We're going to move into the Garuda. I'm going to call this the big shoulder clocks, and I'm going to do it facing away, and we're going to all do rights and lefts at the same time. Watch me first. Some of you have done this with me before, but it's a slightly odd exercise if you haven't done it before. So I'm going to go away. You're going to need as much space as your yoga mat, pretty much. So we're lying on our backs, arms are out to the side. We're going to put one leg over the other, no gap in between. A couple of times we're going to take the legs all the way over to one side. As I take my legs to my left, my right shoulder might come off the floor slightly, that's fine. I want you to think about reaching the right arm away to push that shoulder back into the mat and then bring your legs back in the centre. But again, you're not working too hard. So we're going to do that 2 or 3 times. Then we're going to let the legs go completely over to one side. And my right hand now is going to draw a great big circle around on the floor. I've come onto my left side completely. My hand is on the floor, my fingertips touching the floor, it's there. This is the only bit of muscle use you need to do, or the only thing you need to work on, is lifting the head up and trying to look over that shoulder. As the arm goes over your legs to the floor, as soon as you can, you're reaching forwards past your other hand. You're reaching up, taking that circle. When the hand is above your head, look up into it. And then allow your shoulders to open out. Allow that arm to continue going, and you'll feel this wonderful stretch over your shoulder. And then the legs will miraculously come back to the start. And we'll do a couple in each direction. So here we go. Lie down on your back. So legs are bent, arms are out to the side, palms are up at right angles. Lift your right leg up and cross it over your left leg. Sipping cocktails at the bar, absolutely no gap between your knees. Now just gently let your legs loll to the left, and then if you can, think about pulling that right shoulder back, bring everything back to centre. Don't worry too much about working on the right shoulder, but just get this sort of stretch and be quite relaxed as it comes back. 3 or 4 times. Feels quite nice for me. My head always drops slightly to the right as well when my legs go over completely. So good. So I've let my legs go all the way to the left this time, and they're just relaxed. I'm going to sweep my right hand down along the floor as I roll over onto my left side. So I'm on my left side, I've lifted my head up, I'm going to look over my left shoulder to the floor behind me. As my arm goes, my right hand goes over my thighs to the floor, sweep it round. You're drawing the clock face. So you're at 9 or 3 o'clock, and then it goes above your head. The hand is at 12 o'clock. As you let your head rest down, open that arm out to 9 or 3 o'clock, and your body will miraculously unravel back to the centre. Let's go again. All the way over to the side. A little bit faster this time. Lift your head up, look behind you. So you're getting that lovely stretch out on that shoulder. Hand is above your head, and then you're watching it as it goes over, opens out, and you come back to the centre. Let's go 2 more in the same direction. Legs going over to the left, but now take your arm in the opposite direction. Still lift your head up, still look over your left shoulder, but that right hand and arm is going in the opposite direction. It feels slightly odd, and then unravel. And then legs over to the same side. Oopsie, up to the top. So just stretching again in a different way. Opening everything up. Wonderful. And then swapping over to the other side. Cross the top, the left leg over. No gap between your legs. And then gently allowing the hips to roll, the knees to roll. Really quite relaxed to that right side. Noticing what happens in your body. Don't place them there. Let them roll. Feel the sequence as you come back into the centre. So when the legs are completely over to the right, that left shoulder might come off the floor. You're getting a nice stretch at the front of your chest. Try and stretch the left hand away a little bit along the floor so that that pulls the legs back in. I'm just doing an extra couple on this side. This is going to be my last one because I did extra on the other side. So I'm letting those legs relax. Now I'm rolling onto my right side. My left hand is sweeping, it's making the clock circle. I'm looking over my right shoulder. I've lifted my head up, I'm looking over my right shoulder. Left hand is sweeping round and up above my head, and then I'm opening out, letting the head relax down. Letting that arm go on its own first is a fabulous stretch all across the front of that chest. And again, legs over to the right, taking the arm down again. Lift your head up, look behind you, sweep the arm round, look up at the hand, and then let that shoulder open. Good, 2 more, legs to the right, but this time you're taking the arm, that arm of the clock in the opposite direction, still looking behind you though, over your hips, opening it out. It just feels slightly different. Over to the right, arm up, lift the head up, roll across that shoulder, stretch that left hand past your right hand, really well past it, and come back to the centre. Good job. Lying, coming to sit up and then lying on your backs. Hopefully you're able to follow that. Hopefully I didn't do too much chatting, and hopefully that should feel quite nice. So we've got a lovely abdominal section, you'll be glad to know. So, onto your backs, into the base position. So with a view of moving all the way through, not being too static with our movements here, placing your arm that's closest to the camera onto the floor, palm down at a 45-degree angle. So we were just working at 90 degrees, now you're going to be at 45 degrees. Take the hand furthest away from the camera to the back of the head, and that elbow is up. We're just going to take, we're going to take 5. We're going to stay on this same side for 5 of each variety of this exercise. There's 3 sets to go. So the first one is just a nice roll over, and I want you to feel like you're moving continually as you do this exercise. As you come up, turn the palm up, rotate over that shoulder a little bit, pull this elbow forwards and upwards to between your knees, and then roll down, place the hand down, and lifting up, rotating. Your pelvis is staying absolutely still, your legs are staying still, 5 of these, but you're applying that nice twist in your upper body, trying to clear the shoulder blade that's on the floor, lifting your head up towards the corner. We're not looking down at the floor, we're not collapsing at the floor, we're lifting, and you're moving all the way through. I think this is my last one, but I've actually lost count slightly. Good, we're going to add on to this, same side, lifting up, lift the opposite knee to that elbow, so the camera side knee, and placing the foot down. And I'm just letting my elbow relax down to the floor each time. Just so that we're continually moving, we're continually flowing. Try not to get caught up with holding your breath. Watch the position of that knee, 1 more of these. As in, don't bend it in too far, it's going to change the shape of your lower back. Your spine is in neutral. The last set of this variety on this side. Knee fold and now a leg slide as you take that oblique twist. If you can, remember to turn that palm up, reaching the elbow up and between your knees, so it's going up towards the ceiling. Pelvis, hips staying really level with each other. Last one, I do believe. Good job, and have a little relax, just let that head roll from side to side. And let's reset ourselves on the other side. So feet are flat, feet and knees hip width apart. Keep that pelvis still. The back arm is now 45 degrees, not 90, 45 degrees. And remember to turn that palm up. Lift this elbow. Don't just crunch it in and over. Reach it up between your knees. Lift the elbow that's at the back of your head, is the one I meant there. You can't see me because you're now turning away from the camera potentially. So lifting up and reaching. Turning that palm up and placing it back down. So turning the palm up and reaching the arm away a little bit. Watching that the hip on the same side as the elbow that's lifting up, watch that that hip doesn't move, doesn't join in with that rotation. Your hips are nice and square. Adding on a knee fold as you lift up. Now it's quite tempting to bring that elbow in towards that knee. I'd rather that you lifted your chest and your upper body more. Get that lovely length. 2 more, maybe. I'm not sure what's going on with my counting. I'm not sure whether I'm doing an extra one or not. Reach and lower. Okay, last set of 5, I do believe, is the leg slide at the same time. Keep that pelvis really still. Think about the lower back. Breath-wise, breathing out as you come up, maybe. Breath in as you lower. 1 more. And relax down. Good job. Okay, interlace the hands at the back of the head. In the name of flowing and keeping everything moving and not getting stuck, we're going to support the head in the hands. Clear the shoulder blades. Get those elbows nice and forwards. Bend both knees in. Keep your lower back nice and secure, and we're taking some cycling. Trying to draw the knees in, holding that upper body up. You can have your shoulder blades down onto the floor if you need to. If you desperately need to lower head and shoulders, then please take the legs higher up towards the ceiling. Keep that lower back drawn in and comfortable. If you can, stay here. Let's change the direction of the cycling of the legs. Flexing the feet, pushing out through the heels, keeping moving, keeping flowing, trying to draw that the knee into your elbow every time you bend the knees. Fully straightening the legs. We're adding on. First direction, now we're adding, I've released my fingertips a little bit, we're adding a circle of the elbows. This is really tough. Opposite elbow is going towards the knee, legs are doing the same movement they were doing before, and then we're reversing it and reversing, so reversing the direction of the legs and of the elbows. It is all going on. Should be working really hard. Don't think I can talk anymore. Enough. Hug the knees in. Let your head roll from side to side. Woo. Maybe circle those knees around. Actually, my lower back doesn't feel too bad, but I am just going to stretch my legs out along the floor, stretch my arms overhead. Woo, I feel like I need to stretch out my torso a little bit. Good job if you stuck with that. Great, okay, so we're lying on our side for the next exercise. Sideline leg sweeps. So if you can, line yourself up with the back of your mat. If you have a mat, if you don't have a mat, imagine you've got a mat. So what I want you to be in is in a nice straight line, lined up with the back of the mat, and then just angle both legs forward so they go to the front corner of your mat. So essentially your spine is in its natural curves and then the legs are 45 degrees. Keep that underneath leg nice and straight and apply a little bit of pressure, little toe side down into the floor. And then we're moving the top leg, flexing the foot as you bring the leg forwards, pointing the foot and sweeping the leg back. I'm using my spare hand to check that there's no change in my pelvis. So as I bring my leg forwards, I'm not rounding and collapsing. And as I sweep the leg back, I'm not overarching, and I've also let that underneath leg go as well. So flexing forwards, quite a nice thing. I'm just going to add a little extra pulse here and then point the foot as you sweep back. Quite a nice position is to put the back of your hand, or the front palm of your hand actually, in the small of your back or on your buttock, just so that you can check that nothing is changing. So keep the leg beautifully straight, keep it moving, keep it flowing. As the point of the extra little pulse there, maybe I did a couple then, could do a couple, is to just really get that stretch right through from my heel, it's going through my calf, through the back of my knee, and then up to my hamstrings, checking that there's no change here. When I stretch the leg back, when I sweep the leg back, I'm looking to open out the front of the hips. So flexing, pulsing, pointing, sweeping back. Couple more. Flex and sweep back. So we're trying to get our flexibility today, and it's not pure flexibility. We're not holding any static stretches. We're trying to get it through the movement by lengthening everything, being in the right position, getting that blood flow to the joints. Brilliant. Sweep that leg back, and then just lower the leg down onto the floor. Come up onto your underneath elbow, and then from here, bend both legs. So you're essentially coming into your Z sit, but we're going to stay on this elbow, on this underneath elbow. So bring the legs into that position if you haven't already. Get this underneath elbow really underneath your shoulder, so not out here, and then lift the chest up. We're going to take a croissant stretch from here. So initially it's a little bit static, but then we're going to move it a bit. So sweeping the top arm, the spare arm round, reaching and looking towards the corner behind you. Just watch me a moment. From there, once you've set up that position, then sweep this back thigh back as far as you can, keeping the leg bent. So that what happens is I can just about, if I'm looking behind me, I can just about see my foot. From above, I've got a croissant shape. It's not a very good croissant because the ends aren't together, but you imagine that's the shape you're trying to make. So hold that there. Feel that wonderful stretch all along the front of your body, especially at the front of the hip. And then once you've held it for a little bit, just lift and look underneath that arm, facing the camera, facing the screen, and then drop that shoulder down again. So again, we're moving, we're mobilising around the rib cage now. 3 or 4 of these, keeping that arm slightly bent, trying not to collapse on that underneath shoulder, and then, well done, sitting yourself up, twiddling round to the other side. So setting yourself up in a straight line first of all, legs are extended, and then bring the legs forward so that they're at a 45-degree angle. So this should be quite comfortable in your hips, but your spine is in its natural curves. Lifting that top leg up, flexing the foot. Just check it out. How far does it go on this side compared to the other side? Don't go too far to start with. And then once you feel you're in a comfortable position, you've got your balance, test it out a little bit more. Make sure the hips are staying absolutely still, flexing and pulsing, keeping the legs straight. The only thing that changes is the ankle. The foot flexes as you come forward. Maybe put the back of the hand in the small of your back. Checking out there's no change in the pelvis. We want the muscles to do the work. We want to get all the nerve endings to really feel this extra strength, stretch even, and the length. That's the word I was looking for. Came out of strength. So stretch and length. Right through to your extremities. So here, I can feel my heel almost tingling. And I can feel that stretch all at the back of the whole of the back of my leg. When I'm going back, I'm thinking of opening out the front of this hip. The hip flexors, where we get all tight from too much sitting every day. But keeping that pelvis still. So you might only be able to bring the leg forwards enough to about here before it starts to, your pelvis starts to join in. That's fine. Just go as far as you can. Great, and one more, feels about the same as the other side. Squeezing that buttock to open up the front of the hip a little bit as well when you stretch back. Wonderful. Lower that leg down, come up onto the elbow, bend your legs in. Maybe sit yourself up so that it feels that you're in the right position. So we've got sort of 90-degree angle with both legs. Then come down onto the elbow. Great, we're sweeping the arm round into our croissant shape. I'm looking at that back corner, and then I'm sweeping the same side, actually leg back, the thigh back, keeping the leg as bent as possible. If anything, I'm bringing my foot in a little bit closer to my butt, and I can see my foot just about. And use your breath to keep the flow going. So think of that cycle of breath. Don't think about being stuck in this position, and then looking underneath that arm. So this is all about the shoulder and the rib cage, and then stretch and rotate back down. So parallel to the floor, perpendicular to the floor, parallel to the floor, with that top shoulder and basically your shoulder girdle. And the head is turning as well. Great job, excellent. And sitting yourselves up. Wonderful. One last flowing movement, a flowing, strengthening movement, our Gecko Press-Ups. So just a nice bit of moving around, rolling around on the floor to finish up with. So let's have our feet and knees, legs together and legs out straight in front of you. And just start by just gently rolling from side to side. And as you do this, allow your rib cage to drop down. So you're stretching down that side seam of your back again. Fingertips facing forwards, and then start to add on by taking your hands to the back corner of your yoga mat, if you've got one. If you haven't got one, imagine that space. Fingertips are facing in forwards, your elbows are out to the side. That back elbow does not go down onto the floor. And you're just gently taking your chest down towards the floor, giving the floor a bit of an air kiss. Down towards the floor, elbows are out to the side. And then take your hips all the way over with you as well. So that far hip touches the floor. Elbows out to the side. Hips all the way over. Good, we're adding on. If you haven't done these before, maybe have a little look. We're adding on chest to the floor, hips to the floor. We're bending the top leg in. So you're bringing your elbow, to keep doing that, you're bringing your knee towards your elbow. Having a rubbish speaking day today, and you might find you're shuffling away from the back of the room. So I'm bringing that knee in towards the elbow. So there's a slight shortening on that side. Absolutely fine. And then I'm extending that leg in order to lift me up. So you could stay here. So this is the sort of rough version of Gecko Press-Ups. If you're quite enjoying yourself and you'd like to fine tune it a little bit more, rotate, spiral the shoulders, go all the way down so that your knee is flat on the floor, and then extend and stretch that foot across to the other corner as you come up. So I'm not trying to I don't want you to lift your knee to touch your elbow this time. I just want the knee in turn out. So the knee's on the floor. Take the foot across your other leg, stretch it along the floor. So you end up legs slightly apart, and it sort of unravels you, that foot reaching across. It's that sequential unraveling of the spine, which is the part that should feel quite nice. Well done, everyone. Good job. Well, that was slightly different today. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments below when I put the video up on YouTube. And hope to see you again. Live at 5. See you then. There's a rhyme.